Hello, it's Philip Carr-Gomm here. I hope you can hear me and see me well. Let me know that you're here. Tell me that the sound is working, the vision's working. Our Namrata Cardera has checked in. Hi, Namrata. That's lovely to see you here. We've changed the clocks recently. So I apologize for any confusion by perhaps being an hour late for some of you. Hello from Michigan. Abruzzo, hello, good evening. Lovely. Heather Brewer from Santa Monica. Great, can hear and see me well. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Well, where we are here in England, the weather's just changed. We've had this fantastic summer and autumn, a beautiful kind of Indian summer, as it's called. And just in the last few days, it became cold. We could start to feel the cold wind of the Cailleach. And on Sunday, I was up at the Long Man for the Andarida's wonderful Samhain ceremony. And that was so wonderful to be up on this windswept hill with the most fantastic view. The air was clear. And Dave the Bard, was telling me how it was their 150th celebration on this hill. And I think there's something wonderful in that. That's 18 years of celebrations. And that's what tradition is, really. When we use the word tradition, we think of something that's perhaps been going on for a long, long time. But we can all create tradition just with repetition and regularity. And whilst there's a part of us that wants to not repeat things, that is constantly seeking the new, it's called neophilia, like some sort of strange perversion, neophilia. We sometimes want to keep changing things, but there's a real value in repetition. There's a huge value in repetition when it comes to developing the self and following the spiritual life. And I've had a wonderful few weeks, and I was asked to write a book by a publisher. So I'm working on a book at the moment on sophrology. And sophrology is a system that works with the mind and the body and the spirit to improve the way you think and feel about life and yourself, and to develop your potential. So it's a wonderful mind-body training system that's also used as therapeutically to address all sorts of troubles that can beset us, such as anxiety, depression, fatigue, fibromyalgia, phobias, and so on. And as I was working on the book last week, I started to feel like those medical students apparently feel. The stories of medical students who, as they go through their training, develop or think they have all sorts of illnesses because they read about the symptoms and they say, oh my God, I've got a little bit of a pain here and a pain here and a pain there. Maybe I've got this, that, or the other. And so as I was researching various maladies and seeing how sophrology can help and going into more detail with that, I started to feel in the same way. And so I thought I'd confess to you this evening. There's nothing like a good confession on a winter's evening to warm our hands by, is that I'm a hypochondriac. A mild one, I'd say. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd say I'm probably 4. Stephanie would probably disagree with me. I think I'm just being sensible, but I do tend to, if I feel anything, I worry and I go, and of course it's fatal. You go online, you probably know this. You go online onto Google and Google the symptoms and you're off. It's worrying. But there's a way in which there's another strange thing going on, I think, with this connecting with and thinking about the varieties of afflictions that beset us as human beings, is a strange feeling of solidarity one gets. I don't know if you've had this experience, but when you get ill or you develop a problem, you go online and you Google how many other people are terrified of mushrooms or have pains in their left shoulder. And you discover you're part of a huge community of people around the world who are all terrified of mushrooms or kettles or whatever it is you're worried about. And it makes you feel better straight away, even though you've discovered that you've got some kind of illness with a name or problem with a name. The fact that 50,000 other people have it is a tremendous relief. I mean, maybe this is me, maybe I'm nuts, but I think this is true, isn't it? Tell me if you agree with me that whenever you've been unwell or suffering from a problem and you've found out that lots and lots of other people have the same problem, that this gives you some relief. I'd be interested to know. Maybe I'm nuts, it's just me, but I don't think so. I don't think so. So there's a strange way in which struggling with problems is part of what it means to be alive. And I think it's so easy for us to think that we have to get rid of problems. It's a lovely story from a kind of maverick priest from California called Sean O'Leary, who I met. He was sharing a platform with me in Baden-Baden in Germany, where at a sort of kind of New Age festival. And he told a wonderful story about how when he was in Africa as a missionary, he used to walk past this guy who would be sitting on a porch smoking a pipe every day, just rocking backwards and forwards. And after 3 or 4 weeks of walking past this guy, the guy beckoned him over and he said, "Come here," like that. And he said, "You white fellas, you like solving problems, don't you?" And Sean said, "Yes, we do." And the guy said, "Bad idea, bad idea." Sean said, "Why is that?" And he said, "Because haven't you noticed? You solve a problem and then another one turns up. And I prefer to stick with the problem I've got, and then I don't have any more problems." So Sarah Wing, me too, it's my deepest secret struggle. Hooray. Hooray, there's a fellow sufferer. Fantastic. And immediately I feel better. Now that Sarah Wing has said she has the same thing, I feel better already. It's fantastic. So yes. So have you noticed how you clear something? You have a cold. You get rid of the cold and you think, "Oh, thank God for that. I'm feeling okay again." And then maybe you get a few days respite and then you get a tummy ache, or then you whack your knee against your desk. It's again, maybe I'm just, maybe this is just me. I don't know. So it's nice to see your comments coming in. That's great. I appreciate the vulnerability of sharing that, says Heather. It's so good, isn't it? I think, when we keep things inside, they build up this kind of importance that's greater than, we need to share stuff and see it in proportion and realize how similar we are. One of the lovely movie clips that I love is, in Toy Story, there's Buzz Lightyear, and he keeps telling all the other toys that he's unique and special and he's on a mission to save the world. And they keep saying, "No, you're just a toy like everybody else. You're kind of mass produced." And he says, No, I am Buzz Lightyear. I am here to change the world." And then there's this wonderful moment in the film where they break into a toy store at night. And it's just this clip where you see Buzz Lightyear looking up, and on the shelves, there are dozens and dozens of boxes of Buzz Lightyear inside. And it's that moment of sudden recognition that you're not unique. And when I watched that film, I just laughed so much, because for me, that's the kind of existential crisis. When you're younger, you think you're unique. And this is a paradox, because kind of you are at some level. But at some level, you think you're unique, and that this sort of bubble of the ego, as it were, is absolutely unique. And then at some point, you realize you are so like everybody else. That's one of the values of group therapy, of course. You do group therapy, and you sit around with a bunch of people, and you finally pluck up the courage after, the 5th session to admit the fact that and then fill in the blank. You finally pluck it, and you discover that half the people in the room are feeling that way. Half the people in the room are feeling shy or embarrassed or, have struggle with all sorts of issues and insecurities and so on. And it's a tremendous relief. So here's the thing, I think, for me, if I can. Marina Enlund said she agrees. Ben Spiller says universal balance. Well, that's the point I'm getting to, I think, is that we're all broken in some way. We all suffer from a range of foibles, phobias, weaknesses, difficulties of some kind or another. This isn't to belittle any of these, by the way, of course not. Some of them are crippling, are severe, are deeply troubling and upsetting. I'm not belittling any of this at all. But everybody struggles in some way or another. We might get windows of time when we're feeling great and everything's going great and the body's working fine and the mind's working fine and all the rest of it. But an aspect of life is this aspect of sharing in the human condition of frailty and brokenness. But Paracelsus, the great alchemist, comes to our rescue. There's a wonderful quotation from him, which is, inside every person is a heaven whole and unbroken. And when I hear that, it's like a kind of, it's like smelling the most wonderful hyacinths. It's like a fresh spring day. It's this sort of balm to my soul. In every human being, there is a heaven whole and unbroken. And I remember when I trained in psychosynthesis, Joan and Roger Evans, who were amongst our trainers there at the Institute, they developed this concept of bifocal vision. And it goes like this. When you see a client in therapy, people usually come in a broken state. That's why they're coming to see you. But always remember, it's as if you've got bifocals on. Always remember that actually in every human being, there is a heaven whole and unbroken. Doesn't mean to say you have to be in denial about the mess and about the brokenness. You don't have to be in denial about it, but always remember that at the deep level, at the level of the soul, we are unbroken and we are whole and we are in heaven and are totally connected to the source and the one. And so, yes, should we go into a meditation with that? It's so nice to see everybody here and to see everybody's comments. Fleur, I agree with you. It's nice to be a little bit nutty. So that's what brings flavor to us all. So let's have a meditation now. Let's just connect with that heaven whole and unbroken. We can keep our brokenness. We can sit here with our nuttiness, with all of us, all our foibles and weaknesses and strangeness and difficulties and all the rest of it. But gradually we can allow our awareness of them to just settle as we become open to being in the sacred grove. And if you're new here, you can just watch this and listen to this and try it later if you like it. But if you're familiar with this and you want to go along with this, just maybe close your eyes to better concentrate on yourself and just gradually become aware of the fact that you're sitting here in front of your computer or your screen, but in the inner world, perhaps in your inner world of the imagination, you're in the most beautiful spot, perhaps a clearing in the woods on a clear day, sensing the earth beneath you, sensing all the life in the earth, and just allowing yourself to take in a deep breath, hold it for a second, and then breathing out through your mouth so that all the tension just floats down into the earth. And you sense the stability of the earth, the healing power of the earth, bringing a sense of healing and stability, and bringing its own special energy into your being too. the energy of the earth with its slow, gentle rhythm, sending healing energy into every cell of your being. And you breathe in through your nose, and you breathe in the energy of the trees. You sense your brothers and sisters, the trees around you. You can smell the trees. And you breathe in the energy of the trees, feeling their healing and their protective power. And you become aware of the sky above you. And you notice whether it is night or day. And you breathe in the energy of the sky. And the energy of the sky flows into your body, meeting the energy of the earth within the center of your being. And as you open to the center of your being, you realize that it is both one still point, but it's a point of energy and consciousness and awareness that you gradually allow to expand, expanding in your awareness to include not only yourself, but the sacred grove and all of nature. You are a part of this beautiful landscape. At one with the earth and the sky, the trees around you. And you see the most beautiful bird that flies now to a branch nearby and starts to sing to you. And it's as if this song carries you into a world of depth and beauty, deeper into this world of the grove, of the sun and stars, the earth and the sky. And you realize there's nothing you need to do, nowhere else you need to be. Just breathing in and out. Just being in this heaven, whole and unbroken. And with every breath you breathe in, you sense this heaven whole and unbroken within you. Your whole being filled with confidence and trust in yourself. Your mind, body, and spirit in complete harmony. Everything in your life working out more perfectly than you can plan it. And the bird flies up now, up into the sky. You watch it flying, circling around. And you know it will come back to your grove. You sense the trees around you, the sky above you, and the earth beneath you. And feeling centered and calm, fully present in the here and now, knowing that you can return to this place at any time. You gradually allow your awareness of the sacred grove to fade as you become aware of being seated in front of your computer, your phone, your laptop, feeling fully present in your physical body, here and now. And when you feel ready, you open your eyes. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I'm reading your comments. Lisa saying she always stubs certain toes, usually the middle one. Yes. Erica saying that feels she's become less broken as I've gotten older. Now that's a really interesting comment, Erica. Now, remember what I was talking about the brokenness and the wholeness, and the fact that somehow I think you could say that part of the journey of maturing and of developing spiritually is becoming aware of our brokenness, not denying it, knowing that it's through the cracks the light gets in, but also becoming aware of the wholeness and allowing ourselves through our spiritual work to become more and more open to that sense of wholeness while still holding our brokenness. Perhaps there's an image, of hands tenderly holding something. A little bird with a wounded wing comes to me, for instance. And the more we connect with our compassionate, whole, tender side, that bird starts to heal. And our identification with the brokenness starts to change. We don't go into denial about it, but we are able to disidentify from it. And we become perhaps more and more rooted in the wholeness. More and more rooted in a sense of ourselves as whole and our sense as souls. Kathy Bousquet says, I believe that the brokenness that we experience is an important part of life that helps us to grow and gain virtues. There's something about brokenness that helps us to have empathy. If we've never suffered, we don't really know what it's like. So when we're confronted with suffering, we're not able perhaps to empathize as much as somebody who has done that. Tara talks about how the source of all pain is the belief that we're separate from our source. Yes, so when we connect with the source and we get to know and experience that connectedness with source, I don't think it doesn't make the pain go away, because when you turn on the television and you see the suffering that's happening in Yemen or Syria, you don't just dismiss it as the world of Maya and of illusion, or at least I don't. I think one can be really very conscious and sensitive and empathic towards that suffering. But you have this experience of the source and the connection to the source, and the context, the way in which you see it changes in some way. Katie Morgan, that was lovely. That was nice to hear that the meditation was nice for you. Connie, cradling my newborn in my arms, staring at this piece of heaven in my life. I don't know if you've deliberately made a spelling mistake. Probably you have, but I know you're German as well, so maybe you've typed peace, P-E-A-C-E, of heaven, and of course that is the piece of heaven, and a little piece of P-I-E-C-E of heaven in your arms, and that's the lovely thing about having children, isn't it? Is experiencing that. So thank you all for attending, and it's lovely to see everybody here. And next week we've got a guest. Let me check that for you. But I think Ema is coming next. Yes, next week I'm going to have my nose deep in my book on sophrology, and Ema, the next chosen chief to be in 2020 from 2020, is going to be with you. So have a lovely week, a beautiful week, and I'll see you in a fortnight's time. Okay, lots of love and au revoir, and I shall recharge my tea and come and read your comments. So by all means, do comment some more. Stuart Young says, mine was a blackbird singing in the dead of night, just like the Beatles song. Love you. Thank you. Love you. Yeah, love you too, Stuart. Okay. Bye.